Hello again, everyone. Hope this finds you well. Welcome to the week 12 devlog for Gatecrashers. I apologize for missing the last week 11. Some work got done, but the rest of the week got accosted by, well, let's just be frank, some mental health issues. And I'm doing a lot better now, so we're back with a lot of new changes. I am focusing on getting everything ready for that playtest build that I talked about coming up around the end of this month. So most of my things for this week and next week will be focused on that rather than adding the final floor. So the first of these I would like to focus on is the battle transition, which you will have seen a couple of times. So this is a very simple transition, but it's something that I wanted to do from the start, right? Is that have that line cut across the screen, right? And then build the battle space with that, with the background still there, sort of in context. This was a little bit tricky to do, and it's not complete yet. What I would really like to happen is that there's a battle transition, and rather than cutting the bitmap for the screenshot of the map pack, I would actually like sort of the dithering effect to happen, sort of fill the screen, right, and then for there to be a seamless transition between map and battle. So I'm gonna figure out a couple ways to do that. There's a couple good tricks, right, in order to do that. And then a similar transition when we're going from outside, from battle back to map. And the hope is that once I have this kind of battle transition set up, that I can do a couple different programmatic variations of it in order to keep things exciting or keep things in context of the current battle. So the boss transition will be a little bit different. The FOE transition will be a little bit different. And things like that. So yeah, next up we have field menu changes. So one of the things you may have noticed is that the map status, you can now freely cycle between any of its panels. There'll be a better indicator as to what panel you're on, but that's definitely something that you can do. And we're using it a lot more in different contexts. You can minimize these windows now in a sort of like draw still kind of fashion. And that leads to probably the next big change, which is the quick access menu. So the quick access menu, for most of the first floor, right, will be used to quick access items. As items that can be used in the field enter your inventory, they appear in your quick access menu, and you can just hit tab while that menu is visible in order to choose an item on it and give it to an actor. This took a very long time to figure out, but well, yeah, we are able to do it, and we're able to not only use it for that, but we're also able to use it to do the field skills. So now you no longer have to drill inside the skill menu in order to find the exact skill that you want. You just have it ready, like at the ready on the field. When there are no applicable items in the quick access menu, then it disappears. One of the things you'll probably have seen is that there's a bit of UI creep that is happening as more and more UI elements are being added, right? And it is sort of compromising the sort of dungeon crawling kind of space, right? So in order to maintain a balance, I sort of did a compromise. So rather than fixed window widths, right, and heights and dimensions, right, I sort of let it be player determined a little bit. I want to add some contextual stuff to it. For example, if there hasn't been a change to party state in like a little bit, let's say like in about like 120 frames, right, then I would like to like stow the map status, right, like window, just so that you just have more sort of space to work with. But yeah, we'll play around more with that and see what players do with it. Okay, so next up we have a bunch of new items that have been added. So the items are a number of materials such as Murky oil, copper wire, Putrid eggs, shade wisps, and charred skin. and these are being added onto the already existing list of materials items, and 3 new weapons: a flare gun, spark disc, and acid sling. So to what end? Well, that was a very quick section because we're going to talk about the shop overhaul. So if you look at the shop screen, whenever you access a Recombinator, right, it's called the shop scene, right, behind the scenes. You'll notice that rather than buy, sell, right, we have Fabricate, Breakdown, and Research. Maybe that's a little bit of a mouthful, right? Maybe I'll come up with a shorter version of this. But that's essentially what's happening, right? Is that you're using the Recombinator, right, similar to like a replicator, right, in other sci-fi things, right? And then you're reconstituting different materials that you've pulled, right, in order to build it into patterns of different items and things that you've found. So there's a couple different functions that come alongside this. One is that I've tabbed everything, right? So all of the 3 options have a secondary category window in order to do filters. More on that later. But the important thing is that if you sell any item currently to the Recombinator, it'll break it down, analyze it for you, and add it to your Fabricate. So you can turn any item that you find into multiples of that item. Right, you just need to have sort of enough credits, right, in order to do so. Okay, so we do that, and we have a little pop-up for that, this little analysis window. But the biggest thing, right, and this is probably the biggest thing that's been implemented for this week, has been the research system. The research system has more or less been completely implemented. I guess with the exception of research credits, but those aren't going to come up that much anyway in this tutorial dungeon, so I'm not too worried about it. But the basic functions of the research system have been done. And once again, very similar to the quick access menu. This week was a lot of me fighting window item list, or not fighting it, but like learning it and like learning it in different contexts, and trying to like get everything to kind of like work together, which it luckily managed to do. So let's talk about the research system. So the research system as it exists now, you'll notice that under your sort of currency panel, there's a big black box. Well, that's where all of the items that you sell to a Recombinator, all the items that you break down, right, they end up sort of stockpiled there. Now, we could just do this inside data, right, but I did want to give the users an idea of sort of what stuff that they've got banked. I've set it up like this. Maybe there's a better option for it. And so as those items pile up, you will eventually discover, you will make a discovery. And the discovery is you have all of one of the types of items required to research a particular pattern, right? So the first one that people run into are these smoke items, right? These sort of support items that inflict one negative effect on the enemy. The next will be the grenades, right, which are those items, but damage component of it, and then eventually it'll be sort of this advanced, this one star tier sort of equipment, which is the basic equipment like the carbon knife, the spike rod, the iron wrench, but it has an elemental property, or it has a like a negative effect property like attached to it. Or positive effect, but I don't think we're going to do any of those in this tutorial mention. So it'll probably be a little. So yeah, so as you sell items, they show up in the bank, and then once you have enough of them, we let you know that a discovery has happened. And right now the way that it works is that you know roughly what item you would be building, you know all of the items that you need for it. But you need to go out there and defeat enemies or search junk piles in order to extract them, in order to research it. And so once you've researched it, we give you a free copy of it, so you get to try it out, and it is added to your Fabricate list, right? So you can fabricate multiple copies from this point on. And so yeah, it took a lot to get it to work, but I think it really works. I think it's sort of, it gives you goals, right? Like what? So the enemies you're fighting aren't purely for experience or purely to get over an obstacle, right? But like it gives you things to look forward to, right? The stuff that the enemies drop. Which is the whole deal with like enemies dropping items anyway. But you know, it's good to have a reminder now that like, hey, this is why we do this. But anyway, so the implementation has gone well, and I think it gives some goals. It also the UX isn't too bad that it takes you like too long, right, in order to do the things that you need to do. I was timing my playtests, and like by the end it was coming to like 37 minutes, like 37 minutes, which is like 8 minutes shorter than previously. So like maybe this speeds things up, right, a bit, which would be a huge benefit. However, there's sort of two big questions that kind of remain with the way that the research system is implemented right now. So the first is that you've noticed that bank, right? So certain types of items, material items, right, that show up in the bank will show up and then they'll get used up. However, when you go to sell an item that is like purely for analysis, right, or things like that, it tends to stick around there. And I can see that those kinds of items will stick around a long time in the full scope of the game, because maybe they don't really match an existing pattern, right, that kind of exists. So what gives? What do we do in that case? So it got me thinking about the fact that maybe I want to take a page out of games like sci-fi games like No Man's Sky or Prey, where when you break down an item using like a thing like this, it breaks it down to its constituent elements, right? Like so, rather than like it breaks it down into one copy of the item. And so what would happen over the course of the full game is that like you would break down the first couple items, so you would get like you would get like a certain amount of carbon, a certain amount of iron, a certain amount of lithium, right? Like a periodic table elements, right? That kind of thing. And then the more advanced items are sort of locked behind like maybe heavier elements or elements that are rarer, right? Or more reactive. This could also like, depending on, I know the sci-fi fans will get really mad at me, but like there could be cool new elements that you discover, which is not a thing, right? Like I know like every like physicist and chemist is like breaking down the door, right? Because like given the standard model and sort of how we know the masses of like different atomic structures. So it's sort of like we bend the rules a bit, but like we get a little bit more like a little bit more of an understandable system, right, than the way that exists, right? And something that like iron's going to be useful throughout the entire game, right? But it's going to be a matter of in the early game, right, like you care about iron, and then later on maybe you care more about titanium, but you still need a lot of iron, right? So like that's what's sort of kept around. So I'll figure something out, right? Like some way of keeping the total number of things that you need to keep track of for this research system, right? Like to kind of a minimum. Okay. So yeah, that's the deal with the research system. Now the other part of it that I have some questions about is, I guess, how user-friendly do I want to make it versus how obfuscated I want to keep it so that people discover things. So one of the things that I already noticed, and this is a good thing by the way, is that when you play the game and you have like zero information, right, as you're playing through it, you sort of wait for the game to give you certain things in order to get them. So, for example, the blindness smoke, right, or the being able to fabricate bullets, right? You sort of wait for the game to give those to you, right, by discovering the right recombinator, right, or discovering that item in like a cache or something. With the research system and like what you get to skip ahead. So one of the tricks that I noticed was that very early on when we give you the dark shot, we also use light ammo. If we backtrack like just a little bit and sell one copy of that light ammunition, you are now in control of like how much ammunition, right? Like you can generate, right? Based on sort of what we give to you in the game. I think that's really cool, right? I think that that is sort of a knowledge reward, right? That gets the players to get really curious, right? And also sort of rewards sort of veteran players, right? To be able to be like, I'm not dependent on when the game gives certain things to me. I can sort of push ahead how much I want to. So with that in mind, right? There's value to obfuscating certain things, right? So that players discover it later on their knowledge curve, right? As they play a game. So right now, a couple things are happening with the research system. One is that when you have like all of one component and you're waiting for all of the other component, you are sort of having to rack your brain a little bit about where to get it. I think this is fine, right? This lets you maybe keep track of enemies a little bit better. Maybe I can improve the scan window so that like once you defeat enemies enough times, you kind of know what they drop, right? And based on that, you can be like, okay, I want to be targeting enemies in this particular area, right? In order to get those items. This is exactly what Etching does, right? But another way around it is, and this is the Underknot sort of approach, right? Is what if I let the player fabricate materials? So right now, materials items you can only get from defeating enemies or from junk piles. But if I sort of maintain the rules of my fabricator, right? What if when you sell a copy of a material, that shows up as one of the things that you can fabricate? And even though like econ curve wise, it would be bad to fabricate materials, right? Because you're essentially getting them for free by playing the game, right? So you're converting time, converting time and a couple other resources, right, into a materials item that you can convert to like sort of move up your curve. But yeah, if you can fabricate the materials right there, then you can progress along this research curve a lot faster. And the other thing is that I noticed that for some of the weapon upgrades, I would have sometimes a weapon that is equipped that I would need to back out, unequip, go back in there, sell that weapon, and then research it, right? And then re-equip it. And I do feel that like that's should I be checking the player's inventory, right, as part of this, right, and just incorporate those, right, as part of the request? And also, like, I ran into this really funny thing where like I unlocked the recipe for stun baton, but I didn't have any iron wrenches. So what I did was I fabricated an iron wrench and then broke it down immediately so that it was added to the bank so that I could make a stun baton out of it. Which I feel is like 3 steps too many, right? Like I feel that like, okay, so long as it's in my inventory, right, I should just assume that like, or maybe I ask the player, hey, there's a copy of this in your inventory, is it okay if we use it, right? Alternatively, if I have enough credits, right, should I just be like, yeah, okay, like you want to make this thing, but like you don't have the item, but you have 400 credits, so we know you're good for it, right? So like, should we just do that stuff for you? I don't know. Feel free to weigh in, right? I guess how much do you want the game to sort of handhold you in these things, right? Or do you not care? Like, is this a place where like the game should be convenient about a thing, because we're not really skill testing or knowledge testing you on anything, right? We're saving you clicks, as it were. Okay, I've gone way too long on the research side of it, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit and talk about end on sort of our sort of final fixes. But yeah, the research system is in. I hope you can see it in action. It was very important for me to get this in before the playtest build, so that's why I focused a lot of time and effort on it. Okay, to wrap things up, I want to talk about a couple of the fixes. Dual wielding. So last time we checked on dual wielding, both melee and ranged dual wielding was working, but ranged dual wielding was doing weird things with ammo and what skill shows up and things like that. So I have taken another crack at it, and I do believe we should be good on dual wielding for a good bit. Um, like there's still like edge cases that come up. It's very funny how like this went down. This is entirely consequence of me building this dual wielding system on top of like what some other existing plugins do, and all of the shenanigans that happen because you sort of with ranged weapons, there's a dimension outside of battle where they matter, right? For melee weapons, I can just check at the start of a battle, like what weapons do you have? Okay, here's corresponding skills for that weapon configuration. I know that doesn't change during battle. But for ranged weapons, because of the ammo component, it matters when you equip a ranged weapon because I sort of have to take the ammo out of the stock, like and load the weapon. When you remove that weapon, right? I have to do that. When you're in battle and you reload, I have to do that. And yeah, it's very funny, and I also think that it's going to get more complicated as we add on more weapon slots, right? So like there's theoretically a case later in this game where you have 4 slots unlocked and you're dual wielding 2 sets of weapons, but not tri-wielding them. How do I detect that, right? Like how do I know that that's what the player wants to do with it? So those are things I'll have to solve down the line. But I thought that was of the many fixes that I've had to make, right? Dual wielding has been like a consistent challenge, right? In like finding it and getting it open. There will need to be a design fix to dual wielding though, because right now dual wielding is very good. So I think damage wise, it's come like it's doing what I needed to do, right? However, what's the trade-off between sort of solo wielding versus dual wielding for a sneak, right? Why would a sneak pick 2 separate weapons as opposed to 2 of the same, other than better type matchups, right? And especially once you get to sort of the more advanced weapons, right? You are covering a lot of damage types, right? So yeah, what is the downside, right? So with ranged dual wielding weapons, this is a pretty clear downside. You're eating through your ammo just way faster, which is being more expensive, right? On your set of weapons, right? That kind of thing. But for melee dual wielding weapons, well, like you don't get countered twice compared to if you just have like a regular like one, right? So what's the deal, right? Like so the way that dual wielding is balanced in a lot of other games, right, where you're dealing with people that only have like 2 limbs, is that it's a offense for like it's a like offense versus defense like trade-off, right? And then the two-handed weapon versus dual wielding is a number of hits versus raw strength kind of like trade-off. So I need to figure out what those trade-offs are in this game, such that you can make sort of intelligent choices, right? Sort of about each, right? Why would you want to, like, again, that's the question I'm trying to answer. Why would you want to have 2 different weapons, as opposed to the utility that dual wielding gives, right? And I think that maybe there's things that having 2 separate weapons can do that dual wielding can't, right? Like target 2 different enemies at once, right? That kind of thing. Okay, so other than that, next week the goal is to focus on. So again, I'm just trying to tighten everything up before handing off this playtest build. So the goal will be to work on some of those things I talked about with the research, right? I want to work on the equip menu a bunch because we still don't have the correct stats display, right? The way that they should. So I'll definitely get on that. And yeah, I want to work on enemy AI a little bit because I think it's doing some kind of dumb things right now, and I do want for at least the FOE battles to be. I want the FOEs on the field to be better than they are now. They're kind of dumb the way that they are, but even in battle, right? I want sort of a little bit more, little bit more, like I guess not really intelligence, but more telegraphing of what they can do, so they don't feel as much of a black box to fight, right? That in the first 2 rounds, the players are already able to come up with sort of a strategy, right, for having to deal with them. Okay, yeah. So I think that'll about wrap this up. Hope I didn't drone. I hope I didn't drone on too long. I know I got like really into the research system, but like it was a big thing, and like implementing it, I think sort of showed me a lot of things about the scale and scope of the game that I really want to tackle, right? And see what conclusions that are right for our game. So hope that was enjoyable. Let me know if you're liking the new format. I'm trying the super short video that I did for the for 2 weeks before, that didn't go over too well. So I'm trying to do a sort of mid-length video, right? That's still okay for me in terms of like editing, right? But has sort of enough content that folks might like. So let me know, and I hope you'll see me next week. Ciao.